welcome back to another Samsung Expert Session. My name's Luke.
And I'm Sarah.
And we know our Samsung Galaxy devices are great at many things. But something we have always been famous for is our best-in-class cameras.
That's right. And as a pioneer of smartphone camera technology, today we're going to be showing you how to get the most out of them and take your best ever photos.
You know, if you just wanted to point and shoot, our phones are great for that. But if you wanted to take your photos to the next level, there's a few principles we're going to discuss to help you level up your photography game. Let's start by showing you Pro Mode. But first, Sarah, what is Pro Mode?
Well, Pro Mode is a setting in the camera app that gives you full control, very similar to the way that you would do with a professional camera. You're free to manually adjust the settings such as ISO, shutter speed, and different exposure levels, allowing you to fully express your own style. Let's do a walkthrough of Pro Mode and talk about some of the settings within it. So we've got the camera app open at the moment and you can't see it because it is a blank screen, but our camera crew are a bit shy, so I'm just making sure that I'm doing something nice for them. Now on the bottom, you'll see we've got portrait, photo, video, and more. We want to go across to the more. And we haven't got time to talk about how many amazing features that you've got built into your Samsung Galaxy. We're just going to be looking at the Pro Mode. Now, when we select Pro, lots of numbers, lots of letters, what does it all mean? So let's have a look at those ones across the bottom. ISO. So the sensor in your phone is what takes your picture. That's what captures the image. And ISO is to do with the sensitivity of that sensor to light. So if you're in a darker setting, if you want to turn up the sensitivity so you can essentially, there is more light available or it's more sensitive to the light that is available. Be warned, if you do turn it up a little bit too high, you may get that something called image noise, which is if you've watched kind of a film way back when, you get that kind of grainy image. That's what happens when you turn up the ISO too high. If you want a little bit more information about anything we're talking about, you have got on your screen an eye. Tap on that, and that, again, this just highlights what we're talking about, but might give you a little bit more in-depth information. When we go across, we have got speed. Now, this is to do with the shutter speed. Essentially, how quickly that shutter is closing to be able to capture that image. So if we've got a fast-moving object, maybe a race car, the shutter speed, if we have it on faster, it can capture that image quickly. Or maybe you're taking a picture of a waterfall, and if the water's moving and you want to catch that kind of cotton wool effect, slow that shutter speed down and you can capture that. Next to this, we have got our exposure value. Now, with the exposure, what you want to do is that this is whether or not you want to have it underexposed or overexposed. You can capture those moody images with that kind of dark setting by turning that down. Or again, if you're on a low light setting, turning that exposure value up, let more light in and capture a completely different mood. Focus. Again, this says what it does on the tin. Luke's going to talk a little bit about composition in a minute, but you've got the center, multi, and if you're feeling really brave, you could try manual, but I'm not feeling brave, so I'm going to leave it on center. The subject of my image is going to be focused on the center of my picture. And then finally, we have got white balance. Now in the studio, we've got a kind of a bright, cool white light, but if we're taking a photo outside in natural sunlight, it's going to be a completely different lighting scenario. So again, we can change that. So we've got it set on auto, but you can change that to manual and you can choose what white balance you would want to have. Honestly, it's like having a pro-grade camera in your pocket. But being able to control each of these settings really allows you to fine-tune your image and help you capture whatever look you're going for. I really like to use the long exposure, and then you can move a light around and make a picture. I'm still learning with it, but it's really good fun to do. What about you?
You know what I find adjusting my shutter speed is really useful for capturing fast-moving subjects, such as your dog running around the park or if your kids are playing sports. But now let's talk about grid lines, composition, and rule of thirds.
Now they might sound like some really fancy words to you. So Luke, what do they actually mean?
So composition is how you frame the subject in an image. Grid lines is a tool built into the camera app to help you do this. And finally, the rule of thirds is a loose rule we use to decide how to frame the image. I tell you what, it'd be probably easier if I show you what to do. Right, so let me show you how to turn on the composition guide. I'm gonna be using my S25 Ultra. First thing you wanna do is load up the camera. Now I'm gonna cover my camera because you don't wanna see my shoes. So load up the camera, and you'll notice as well, just next to the zoom rocker, you've got the 4 dots. Click onto that. And then also far left, you've got the settings cog, which you'll find all the settings for your camera. Click onto that, and then scroll up a little bit, and you'll see composition guide. Click into that, and I'm gonna turn that on because this is where we can turn on or off your grid lines and level. Grid lines only, level only. I'm gonna leave both turned on. Let me show you what the camera looks like now. You'll notice I've got the grid lines there, and also with that level being turned on, when my device is level, you'll see you've got a little yellow line, glows yellow when I'm level. And also if I rock it forward or back, you've got ever so slight green line, letting me know when my camera isn't exactly straight. So there we go, my camera's straight, my device is level, I'm ready to rock and roll. And also the grid lines are there for the rule of thirds. So let me go outside and take some photos. So the rule of thirds is a composition guideline designed to make your photos look a lot better. And we do that by placing your subject towards the left or right hand side of your photos, leaving the 2 other thirds completely free. Of course, there are loads of other guidelines, but this is really helped by those grid lines on your Samsung Galaxy device. Let me show you what I mean. So we are here, and I've got a little canal boat bottom right. So I'm gonna fill the right hand side third with the canal boat, and the other 2 thirds are free to get all of that lovely greenery in. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna point my camera up a little bit so the top third has got the sky in it, and the bottom third has got the water and a bit more greenery. So make sure I've got that, make sure I'm central and I'm level. Take a picture, and that is what we're left with. So I've got a nice, complete looking photo using composition guidelines and the rule of thirds. So, Sarah, keeping this in mind, it can really help prevent those common photography mistakes, such as leaving too much room at the top of a photo, and just overall makes the images more aesthetically pleasing. So, Sarah, which do you use more often? Grid lines, composition, or the rule of thirds?
Well, I always have grid lines on.
Okay.
And then because I've got the grid lines on, I often think about the rule of thirds and making sure that I'm putting the subject in the right place in the photo, which also helps with composition. But my main one, grid lines.
Really useful. Yeah. And finally, let's move on to perhaps the most important principle of photography, lighting. Good or bad lighting is usually the difference between an amazing photo or a dull or lifeless one.
And it goes beyond just using the flash on the back of your phone. Having a good light source and how you position your subject according to the light is key to getting a good photo.
Sarah, tell you what, let's take a look and you can show us in real time how lighting can affect a photo.
Let's go. So we've turned the lighting down in the studio, and automatically on your screen you can see that is a completely different vibe now. So just imagine the effect that it's going to have on your photos as well. So we're going to look at my camera here. So I've got our mini mannequin and he's set up here. Now what we can do is that currently we've got the light over to the right hand side and slightly behind. So you can see around the edging, that's where we've got it lit. Perhaps we want to change that style. We could easily light from above. So again, moving that lighting, and it just changes the feeling of it. And this feels a lot like, for me, this looks like when you go to a museum and you've got that amazing downlighting on there as well. Perhaps you've got a ring light at home, you could do this with a lamp, or again, maybe with the natural light around you. Or perhaps you've got something, you're blessed enough to be in a situation where you can use different colours. So whether or not you've got neon lighting, and again, this creates a completely different style and even mood towards the photograph. Now, of course, we've still got the lighting over there, but again, we can change the angle of the photo, and then we can just use the lighting and everything to our advantage to create the style that we want. Now, if you don't have access to a light, a window is an excellent source of light. And if you're outside, of course, you have the natural lighting in the sun. So Luke, when was the last time you thought about lighting in your photos?
You know what, it's all about the sun and golden hour, especially when you're on holiday.
Yeah.
Ibiza, Cafe Mambo's, the sun setting,
Yeah.
photos look phenomenal. So here's a quick recap of what we've explored today. First up, Pro Mode. What is Pro Mode and how do you use it?
Composition, what it is and how it improves your photos.
Then it was all about lighting, the importance of lighting and the huge impact it has on your photos. Photography will always be in the Samsung Galaxy's DNA. And I hope today we have given you some really useful principles to help you improve your photos straight away.
Thanks for watching and learning with us today.
And if you've enjoyed the session, don't forget to hit subscribe for more Samsung expert sessions.
And be sure to share this video with anyone who'd love to get more out of their Galaxy devices.
Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.
Bye.